Hello team, this is Matt Collins and thank you for joining me today for my textual analysis digital presentation, which is the final presentation for the social creation of organizing course at Queen's University of Charlotte. This is the digital presentation of my textual analysis article entitled Ford Motors, the Old, New, and Blue. I wrote about how a recent advertising campaign from the Ford Motor Company fits into the common narrative that this company has been a running story of American ingenuity that has spanned across multiple generations and represented how a business can be run efficiently through this idea of an assembly line. But it also represents an idea of blue-collar employees, or those employees who are, quote, better suited to doing work as opposed to thinking work. Now, over time, as organizational and national narratives evolved, the Ford Motor Company has conformed to a more universalistic approach, at least in how it presents itself to the public through advertisements. Now, recently, the Ford Motor Company began partnering with the National Football League, and the company's F-Series truck is now the official truck of the NFL. And they also introduced a customized truck that will deliver food to fans outside of specific games. The company's even introduced what it calls the first ever built Ford Tough Offensive Line of the Week award, which will be given each Tuesday to the league's offensive line that best exhibits toughness, smarts, and capability in a prior week's game. Now, Sandra Foss described rhetorical comparison, and through this lens, I argue that the Ford Motor Company is attempting to symbolically and through perhaps an unconscious, though I believe completely intentional, rhetorical comparison, align the toughness of its trucks as similar to an offensive line. The offensive linemen, quote, are responsible for blocking the defensive players to allow the offensive skill position players to gain yardage and score touchdowns. And they're an essential component of an effective offense, and a premium is placed on strength and toughness. If you think about it, they are, in essence, an assembled line, similar to Henry Ford's aforementioned assembly line. I believe that an audience might interpret this as Ford pandering to its blue-collar base by celebrating the NFL offensive lineman. And consider the following quote from the Ford Motor Company's press release. Both Ford and the NFL are excited to see the contributions of these unsung heroes acknowledged. Now, through a rhetorical analysis, I argue this symbolic association, again, is intentional, as the blue-collar workers, your construction workers, for example, they're unsung heroes as well. They're working the long days, and they're working their hands to the bone. They're fixing our roads and bridges, for example. This is, in my opinion, the direct definition of rhetoric as defined by Foss. Quote, the use of symbols to influence thought and action, and it persuades by creating our reality. This, in my opinion, is how Ford is attempting to create a shared meaning and subsequent behavior, which is, of course, purchase our product, because we're just like you, and we understand you. So what? So what are the implications of this? So to tie this back together with the business practices of the Ford Motor Company, this customer base is what the company was built on, the blue-collar employees, or those employees who are, again, are better suited to, quote, doing work as opposed to thinking work. And please note, I'm certainly not intending to portray a negative connotation of a blue-collar employee, but rather I just wanted to engage in this rhetorical analysis and criticism to really understand particular symbols and how they operate in this context of the Ford Motor Company and its recent PR campaign with the NFL. And as the authors of our course textbook explain, many of the tenets of the classical approach to management are alive and well in organizations today, and so too are the classic ways of advertising. To take this a step further, these symbols are all around us at all times. I encourage you to think about this, as this analysis personally really opened my eyes to the symbols that companies use to get consumers to identify with them. And take unhealthy food marketing to children, for example. And according to a peer-reviewed article by Susan Lin and Courtney Novosat entitled Calories for Sale, Food Marketing to Children in the 21st Century, in the year 2007, food and beverage advertisers will spend $10 to $15 billion a year targeting our youth. And so to tie this back together with Ford, this I believe they're doing through symbols, such as a toy that comes with chicken nuggets or a cartoon character on a sugary box of cereal. And I acknowledge that I think this is probably common sense to us, and those were pretty obvious examples, I believe. But if you really take a step back and think about advertisements we see, at least for me, I realize that the symbol usage is incredibly intricate, it's intentional, and it's massive in scale, and it's deeper than we may have first realized, as I discussed with the example of the Ford Motor Company's advertising with the NFL, and how their advertising has really changed with the times, but I don't think it's really changed at all, if you think about it. On that note, think back to the YouTube video titled Sexist Ford Commercial that we discussed in great detail during the team-led discussion in Week 7. Just like with the NFL, that commercial was acceptable at the time, and they were pandering to their consumer base just as they are now, albeit through different, updated, and more socially acceptable methods. But at the core of it, I argue it's a similar approach to advertising, and that in turn is a reflection of their organizational ideals. And in case you did not see the video entitled Sexist Ford Commercial, I wanted to pull it up for you very quickly.
Fine. Yes, I'd love to. Thanks, Jean. I'll be there. 2 o'clock. Goodbye. 3 weeks ago, I couldn't have accepted that invitation. Like so many people these days, we live in the suburbs, and Dave needs the car every day for business. When he was gone, I was practically a prisoner in my own home. I couldn't get out to see my friends, couldn't take part in PTA activities. I couldn't even shop when I wanted to. I had to wait till Thursday night after Dave brought the car home. But that's all changed now. 3 weeks ago, we bought another Ford, the new low-priced custom line Victoria. Isn't it stunning? Dave has it all to himself, and I now have the ranch wagon all to myself. It's a whole new way of life. Now I'm free to go anywhere, do anything, see anybody anytime I want to. It's only good common sense. Why be stuck with one expensive car when you can enjoy all the fun and freedom of 2 fine Fords?
Today, more and more families are finding out how easy it is to be.
So team, yeah, I really appreciated all the great discussion that we had in Week 7 about this, and it was just so applicable to this topic that we're discussing now. I actually found that video to use in the Week 4 final draft of this textual analysis article, but it didn't make the final cut. And when it came time to compose the Week 7 team-led discussion about, amongst other topics, gender identity, I thought the video would be a good fit and would invite some interesting dialogue, which I believe it did. And then I also believe that it ties into this presentation that we did today. So I thought I would show it again in the event that you wanted to see it again, or if you didn't see it during the Week 7 discussion. And hopefully this digital presentation will also lead to some more good discussion. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I really look forward to your feedback. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks again for watching.